should talk about the national
Let's
champions.
talk about the national champions. I apologize for
because
talking about this, Carolina.
one thing that's interesting to me about Kansas winning a national championship, and I had this confirmed. This wasn't just my own belief, Tate. Like, this was confirmed through, God, how many days have we been here now?
Too many.
Talking to Kansas fans in New Orleans about this team.
Yes.
That this is not only this is Bill Self's second national championship.
Yeah.
This is his first one since 2008. We know this. Mm-hmm. Every Kansas fan I talked to I asked them, in the last 14 years, where does this kid, if all the 14 Kansas teams had to play each other, mm-hmm. where does this Kansas team end up on the power rankings of the teams that haven't won a national title since 08? And they were like, honestly, like 13th maybe or 12th. This is insane that we're in a position where we have to beat an 8 seed to win a national championship. That was what people were telling me last night. I was out, I kept getting that over and over. And it's not that they didn't like this team. It was just that, this team lost by 1 million to Kentucky in Rupp Arena. The Kentucky team that lost to a 15 seed in the first round of the NCAA tournament beat the national champions in their home.
Shout out to Kentucky. You also beat Carolina.
Hang the banner, Kentucky. Yeah, hang the banner. We beat both national champions. But the stat about Bill Self never losing never losing in Allen Fieldhouse is always parroted. Like we understand that that's like a thing that Bill Self
we
just never
were worried
does.
about fandom because fandom started.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think I put Allen Fieldhouse on the fraud power rankings. So if you're a Kansas fan and you're watching this team and these things that never happened with Kansas basketball are happening, and you're like, oh, I just watched every so often you go home from Allen Fieldhouse with a loss, but it's not like an ass kicking like that. You're like, what the hell is this? And you're trying to figure this team out, and the point guard play is suspect, and David McCormick is like not. He's good, but is he a Kansas big? Is he a guy that we can play through? Yeah. The defense, the question marks with all of that. And that leads to this point where we meet New Orleans, and all these Kansas fans I'm talking to, again, they're like, man, listen, on the national championship, on the banner, all that kind of stuff, it's not going to tell the story of we got our asses kicked by Kentucky or or Remy Martin wasn't as good as we thought he was all season. It's not going to say all that. But to go back to the thing you said about you just have to throw the punches, I think that's the beauty of this tournament. I think that's like one big lesson that you learn is that it is such a crapshoot that if you're a guy like Bill Self, you get to a point where you're smart enough that you can't orchestrate your path to a national championship. You can't. Sometimes the road has to open up, and Kansas fans are going to take this the wrong way because one thing I've learned in this NCAA tournament is that Kansas fans take literally everything I say the wrong way. I don't know how we got here with that. That's a whole nother story.
I picked Iowa. You picked Iowa.
I picked against every Final Four team. Guess there was only one Final Four team that was bitching to me the whole time about it. It was Kansas fans who, by the way, deleted all their tweets when they were bitching about the same Kansas team all season. But anyway, you can't orchestrate your path, and what Kansas fans are going to take the wrong way. I'm not saying that Kansas was lucky. What I'm saying is, the draw they got with an Auburn team that we thought was suspect for. Halfway through the year, we're like, now hang on a second. What about these guards? Like, what is Auburn as good as we think? They got Providence and Wisconsin, who are quote unquote lucky. Then the bracket breaks where to go to the Final Four, they have to play a 10 or 11 seed. They go to the Final Four, Justin Moore is out. Carolina's banged up. That is not to say that Kansas is lucky. Do not take what I'm saying the wrong way. What I'm saying, Tate, is that you start to appreciate the NCAA tournament as an event, and that all you can do when you're in Bill Self's seat and John Calipari's seat and Mike Krzyzewski / John Shire's seat and Hubert Davis, all you can do when you're a coach of these types of programs is give yourself a shot, give yourself a punch. Yeah. And then you get to the tournament, you throw that punch, and sometimes it connects. But that was like my takeaway with Kansas, because like it is kind of funny to me. Like it's funny to me that Bill Self, how much he was implicated in the FBI stuff, it doesn't matter. What matters for our narratives, for college basketball narratives, is that Bill Self was in Kansas for cheating. They got busted for all this FBI stuff. It is objectively funny that Kansas and Adidas were dropping bags left and right. Get implicated in FBI stuff. There's certain, players that get implicated for certain things, Tate. And when the dust settles, the one team in the last 14 years that could get over the hump and win Bill Self a national championship was this Kansas team. Yeah, this Kansas team that doesn't have all those 5 stars, that doesn't have, that honestly looks unlike every other Bill Self Kansas team. The point guard play, the big men, and the defense. Those were the 3 huge question marks this entire season. If you watch Kansas for more than one, they would bring it together in certain games. But if you watched them for like weeks at a time, you're like, I don't know, man. Like when I watch Kansas, they have a great point guard. When I watch Kansas, they have great big dudes. When I watch Kansas, they play defense. They're doing none of those things. Yeah. And tonight, the funniest part about it all is that it all got flipped on its head. Bill Self was going after the 5 stars. It wasn't the 5 stars that won him a national title. This particular Kansas team had all of these flaws, and those specific flaws, and by that I mean the point guard play and the big men and the defense, are exactly what won them this game. In the second half, they've locked up on defense. David McCormick should have been the most outstanding player probably in this Final Four. And Remy Martin was unconscious with step-back shots that he was hitting. Even though he had like 14 points or something, he was incredible. And there's like some sort of beauty to that because you realize it underscores the insanity of what this tournament is, which, you know, and
it underscores the insanity of college basketball. Because if you had told me in 2018, 2019, when we were doing One Shining Podcast and Kyle was our producer and we did Good Guy, Bad Guy, Kyle's Guy. If you had told me that Kyle's guy, a guy by the name of Remy Martin, would be the reason why North Carolina would not win the national championship, I would have literally, I would have laughed myself to sleep at the idea of that. And the fact that I'm watching Kyle's guy hit step-back shots and never miss and, have this amazing game.
Looking jumper.
Yeah, with Bill Self over there being like, get this man out of my face. Like, it was the irony of the moment, and like you said it. I mean, the defense of Kansas, they stretched Carolina out. They made sure that they were not going to beat them off the dribble in that second half, and they got physical with them. And look, when you have 5 guys and you have no depth, I mean, depth is going to win championships in the NBA, and it's really going to win championships in college basketball when you get to this point in the season. Like you said, when things break your way, great, but you still need to have the depth to sustain and do it. In Carolina, they have been, I mean, we've had, if you were in a car, the gas light has been on E for about 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
You got
like,
to the point where you're like rocking back and forth.
And it's like, I thought we had 40 miles when we were on E, but like we're on mile 42 right now, and we need to pull over and get some gas. But I'm looking at those gas prices, and I'm like, that's pretty high. I don't know if we should pull over. Let's keep trying to go. And that's all Hubert Davis was trying to do, man. He was just trying to get, like, we were running on fumes. He was just trying to get it done. And Kansas, I mean, in that second half, they locked up and they played defense. And Remy Martin was exactly what they needed to have, like, that X-factor guy that could go get them a bucket when they needed it. And McCormick, I mean, he did a great job just being able to endure. I mean, the fact that he didn't foul out of this game, the fact that Lightfoot was able to take some of those fouls already, that was great coaching by Bill Self to be like, go in there and take those fouls for us. Carolina didn't have a Mitch Lightfoot behind Baycott.
Right.
They had Puff Johnson, who's a small forward playing the 5. Brady Manick, who's going to be a small forward in the NBA playing the 5. There was no depth, but also that kind of lends itself back to, like, the fact that you're fighting in this game is amazing, and the fact that Kansas had the onus on themselves to put it on themselves and say, like you said, hey, we've had some really bad games this year. We aren't necessarily the team of destiny. We aren't necessarily the expected team to win the national championship. In fact, we've kind of been like the blue blood that nobody wants to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, because when we got to the Final Four, it was like Carolina Duke, obviously. And look, we did it. Carolina Duke is here, and then Villanova, Jay Wright. Everyone's like, well, we love Jay Wright. Let's talk about Jay Wright. And then Kansas is over here. Meanwhile, they're the 1 seed, right?
They're the only 1 seed in the
They're
Final
only
Four.
1 seed in the Final Four. So, like, in some sense, like, they got their due. You know what I mean? They were the best team that was in the Final Four. When you look at their roster, when you look how they're constructed. And I'll say this, and I know Oscar Tshiebwe was the National Player of the Year. I get that. But Ochai Agbaji, what he means to this team as far as having a lottery-level player on the floor for you that can, we joke about being two-way player. That guy's a two-way player for all you NBAs. The fact that he can lock up on one
Plays
end.
offense and defense. That's
exactly.
crazy.
Who would have thought?
How many players do that?
Who would have thought? But the fact
That's
that, like,
crazy.
he can impact the game and doesn't have to have 30 points, doesn't have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that he could do that, he was one of the few guys. I mean, he and Ben Caro are probably the 2 guys that you would look at and say, in the Final Four, those are those guys that could do that. And I think I would take Agbaji in this Final Four just because of the fact that, like, this guy's a senior, man. This guy gets it. He understands college basketball. He understands how to win a game and gut out a game. And the Big 12 is such a tough conference. And they were the tougher team. I mean, Carolina tried to fight back as best they can, but Kansas earned this win. I saw some people were walking out, they were like talking about, ticky-tack. Like, it's not an official. This is not about the officials. I just want to say that. Like, and Carolina fans, we've never been about the officials. Don't let Kentucky fans leak into us. Like, leave that over here. That's for them. That's their job. It was never about the officials. It was about a team in that second half saying, we're the better team. We've had the better year, and we're going to win this game. And they went and did it.
Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.